All right, what I'm going to do now is you do this with two, so you end up with two stuffed. That's going to be the tail. I lay them on top of each other like this, so that these little guys are dangling down. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to actually sew this part here to this part here. So from the base right here of the thumb, right there, to the middle here of this. So you line these two end pieces up, which is where your hand goes through, the cuffs. Line your cuffs up, and you're going to start sewing from here, up and around this way, across the cuff, and then down again on the other side to this one over here, this thumb, which is going to be the tail. Okay? So it's easiest if you take your needle and you line these guys up, and it's easiest if you sew the cuff part first. So I've got my cuff part lined up, and I'm just going to take my needle and thread and put it on through here and pull it through till you get to the knot. Once you get to the knot, don't pull through too hard because it'll pull through like you just saw me pull through. Take it and make a little stitch here. So I'm going to run it back up, and as I pull it all the way through, I'm going to actually come back through with my needle, come back through that little loop and tie it off so that it makes just a little tied off knot. And now I'm just going to sew. Now this is where I was saying that this is really a great way to teach kids about sewing, because you're going to go up and you're going to go down. When you get to this side over here, you're going to sew from here all the way to here, where that little pinky, well, it's actually a thumb, but where that thumb would meet the other finger. So what I'm going to do is sew nice tight stitches here, sewing these two gloves together right at the base. Now, if you've got string here still, I would come back, because you cannot go wrong in sewing this together. The more stitches you get, the better it is, the better sewn together it is, the better your turtle shell is going to be. Now I'm going to come back over on this side. So you're going to come back through again, and if you've run out of thread, that's okay. But what you want to do is you want to end up back on this side over here so that you can sew this side the same way that you did this. I always start my stitch by doing that up and over stitch where I stitch to itself, and I go through this little loop, and the only reason I do that is just to make sure that it's nice and secure. There we go. So see how I've got that? And now I just tie that off, and I'm going to leave the string because I'm going to need it when I flip this. So I've got string here, string here. Ready? This is the fun part. Flip it. And now when you flip it, can you start to see the little turtle shape? Look, here's its head. There's his little tail. Now watch this. This is probably one of my favorite things. Take these little two fingers and tie them together. Now if you want to, you can sew them. That's easily done. But I'm going to tie them off for speed. And check it out. Oop, I tied them a little too tight. But you can see, there's his little head, there's his little tail, there's his little legs, and I can loosen those up. And now I'm going to just sew his head so it's up a little bit. To do that, I've got my string here. I'm just going to come at the back end of his neck here a little bit. And this is where you can give it your own character. This, again, is why I love this kind of needle and thread. So I could even make his little head go down if I wanted to by sewing right there. And like I said, I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. I tied this a little too tight. And I'm just going to get rid of this one because I don't need it. So I'm just going to pull these out a little tiny bit. There we go. There. Now he's not so bad. So now I'm going to sew his eye on. So for this, I'm actually going to be using a thinner needle. I've grabbed a thinner needle here, and I just have a little bit of thread on it. So like I've done with everything else, I'm going to start with just making that little up and through the hole to tie it off and get it set to go. Then I just take my button. This has 4 holes, so I go up through the button hole and down through the buttonhole on the opposite side, slide it down so that it's on my turtle's head, and then I just do a little stitch through. Then I come back up through the hole and down through the other hole, and when I come down through the other hole, I just come down through my glove at the same time. And there you go. So 2 little stitches is really all you need. I mean, now if you feel like you want to get secure, like if you're going to give this to a younger child to play with, you might want to really, really, really stitch that on nice and solid. But then I come over to the other side, and I can add my other eye. And I do it in the same way. Just put it up and through one hole, down through the second hole, and slide it down and stitch it in place. So now you can do this for your little turtle's button back if you want to, or if it's easier, you can hot glue those on. So there is these little eyes, they're in place. I'm just going to tie this off by taking one little stitch like I've been doing and going back through that knot, back through that little circle, and tying it off, and then snipping. And there, hopefully, is a turtle that Peter Gardner would give a nod of approval to. And like I said, you can sew these as well, but if you want to leave them, just cut the little edges off like that. And there you have your very own glove turtle. For more great ideas inspired by folks that I've seen at the Maker Faire, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com.